good evening, and welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. Yes, let's say that all together. Make it in harmony. All right.
Yeah.
What do we call this show? The
truth
behind the truth.
the truth.
All right. Yes.
Yes.
Love it
Glory.
indeed.
That's right.
Yes. Love it. Want to welcome our Facebook family, our YouTube family, our Instagram family, our TikTok family, our family, our sharing family, our liking family.
It's
Everything.
a family affair.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yes.
But anyway, family, we do want to welcome you guys tonight. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be a part of us tonight and share and like and be a part of what's going on with Truth Behind the Truth. I'm telling you. Truth Behind the Truth is going places, guys. You may not think so in some aspects of it, okay?
Yeah.
Because we ain't the View yet. But we can replace the View. All right, because these three bald heads and one hairy, we got something to tell you, and we're gonna tell you the truth behind the truth because humanity needs to know that.
Yeah,
we don't compromise about it. We really try to encourage you, and we encourage you with love because number one, we want you to know that you are authentic, okay, that you are enough, and it's not my what.
It's not my job to make you comfortable with my life.
Absolutely. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
That is our motto. And that's what we sticking to it and ain't nothing you can do about it. All right. And guess what? It all comes with love, people, at the end of the day, because we want to see you do better. We want you to have a tremendous life and we're letting us be a part of what's going on with you at the end of the day.
Yes.
Fellas, how are you?
Whew. Good.
Okay.
Tired, but good.
Yes. Well, Pernell, hey, we'll start with, I know that you, and we're so, as we always say, very proud of your success and what you're doing. And now you're moving into another dimension, of course, and getting more, of course, it's that season. Of course, you expect it to happen, at the end of the day, you do. So, which is good. I'm glad you got cast in the show. We're looking forward to come seeing it. And making it happen, because we have it here, but we try to do it outside of here as well, at the end of the day. Want to tell you, audience, real quick, we can't tell you what it is just in the moment, but these beautiful fellas right here and all of our rest of our production team, we got a show that's going to knock your socks off.
Oh,
okay, but we'll be talking about it soon in the coming future. Do want to remind you that we are going to be podcasting soon. So we're going to be looking at that. We're taking our shows, rolling over to podcasting. Okay. So Truth Behind Truth is really wanting to get our message out to you. Those that don't have time to necessarily be visually with us every week, you're going to have an opportunity to be on the treadmill now. Getting your truth behind your truth, okay? Getting the weight off, or whatever you're gonna try to get off, okay? Get the man off your shoulders, girl off your shoulder, whatever, okay? Whatever you're trying to run from on the treadmill.
Nothing serious.
I know, right? But before we finish our little chat real quick, before we bring our guest on, I just want to tell you a little bit about her. She's a dear friend of mine. We've been friends for, I'm going to say at least about 17 years, and that we're part of the same church at one particular point in time. She is a very, very inspirational person. So we're going to let her have the floor tonight, talk about her books. We'll dig in and where we can fit in because she is a communicator and she will love to tell you some great stories. I'm looking forward to Miss C.K. Harold. C.K. Harold. Lord, you got me saying. He passing me no time. C.K. Harold. Oh, my God. Send them cue cards coming in. What that mean? Miss C.K. Ford. Okay, let me get this right now, okay?
All right now.
Oh, my God. That's too funny. Thank you. All right. Anyway, all right. So, Harold, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really, really good.
Good.
June is Men's Health Awareness Month. We're coming to an end of it. Last week, I had a chance to talk to some men about health and wellness.
Okay.
And the importance of getting your prostate checked. And it was a really good conversation. I think when guys come together and when you are willing to be vulnerable and tell your truth, it opens up for other folks to do the same. And so just really had a real vulnerable conversation because particularly when it comes to prostate, that's where our sexual stuff comes from. And
right, exactly.
They don't like talking about that and don't want to get tested because they fear that if they do have something that they're going to lose that. And so it was just a really good conversation.
Well, mentioning about that. I mean, and I know you were saying that. Do you think? What do you really think the fear is about getting tested? Do you think that the fear of unknowing, or just how you have to get tested? I mean, from because heterosexual men just go kind of crazy when you talk about getting your prostate checked. You know what I mean? They just kind of get all kind of weird and think something else gonna happen, and all. I don't get that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But do you think that's just men in general, though? To be honest, I don't think that. I don't think that's. I think it's just people in general just have a hard time just going to the doctor and getting checked out on a regular basis. Because I mean, to be honest with you, who has time? I mean, you have to make time for that.
Right.
And in today's world, we just don't. That's always put on the back burner because of the stuff that we have going on in our lives: work, children, sometimes things happen, things get in the way, and people forget about themselves.
True.
So I don't. I think that's a general thing, because even with women in breast cancer, some women, if they have the time, they go get their, exams, but mammograms. But sometimes, there are people who are scared to find out what's going on with them.
Yeah, true. And the reason I brought that up is because you've seen all of the commercials and things like that. The coach, I think that one time you had to do the blue gown. I think you used to do it in Atlanta, like the blue gown month or something along the lines of that. But it seems like that the coaching from that, and I could be wrong off base or whatever, the coaching from that is kind of geared toward that, and not pointing by heterosexual guys. I'm not throwing any stones at you, but it's just something about the fear of the process of having to have your prostate checked, at the end of the day. And, and I think it is. I'm just being honest, because, I do have a few friends that are physicians, and they say that there's always this resistant measure coming from a heterosexual male, having to, to have that exam, and then women just go for it. They have to have their area checked out too. They just go for it. Like, oh hell, I ain't gonna have this stuff. And they go ahead and deal with it. So he's just saying. I'm glad you brought it up, though, Harold. I mean, just a very important topic to be, to be able to be addressed. At that. And then also going further, I mean, the men that are typically over 50, but even some nowadays, they really need to have the colonoscopy done too. Just to be the safety measures. Going on with that, because especially if you've had horrendous, eating habits and, things like that, and not having a proper, roughage in your diet, things of that nature, or juicing, properly, and all those type of things, you'll see that happening to you,
Yeah. But I still think it's just society. As a society, we just don't have the time, or people don't either have the health insurance, but or have the access. But it's just the fact that making time. Just taking care of yourself and making sure that you go to the doctor and getting checked out, or getting your or just making sure that are in tune with your body, at least. Because we go to work sick every day, and we think it's nothing. When it's probably more than what it is, we think less of. So I think it's just it's just that we have to take time to take care of ourselves. That's basically what it's all about.
Any other points you want to make about that, Harold, before we go to break?
I was gonna say, I think a lot of it really is fear, and I don't think it's fear of the procedure. I think it's just fear of the unknown. Like, to get a diagnosis, I've heard several men say they don't want to know. They wouldn't want to know if something.
Oh wow,
Face the reality of what that might mean in terms of any kind of procedure that they may have, or lifestyle change they may have. But some people don't even change, and so they just don't want to know.
Gotcha. Any points you want to bring on that, Parnell, real quick? We're going to break.
I'm just like, that's part of y'all being nice about it. Some of these men are scared to get something going up their butt.
Okay.
They're somehow gay. And I'm just like, it's not gay. It's an exam. There's only one way to check out your is to go through your anus.
Yes, thank you.
It's done. Stop being stupid and take care of your health, because your family and your friends will be more happy that you had whatever little embarrassment about the tube going. I've had a colonoscopy. They knock you out. You're not even aware of it.
Right.
Over in minutes, and the next thing you wake up in the recovery room like, "Ooh, that was some good stuff. I was not." But you're right. The only reason not to get it done is if you don't have health care.
Right.
Which gets into a whole other subject on care. But otherwise, if you have insurance, make the time to take care of your health. Go the cancer screenings. It's scarier to have something attack your body and not know what it is than to actually know what's going on,
Right.
fix it, and deal with it, and plan your life.
Right.
The earlier you catch it, the better chances you have of survival. You sit here and wait until it's stage 4, and now there's nothing we can do for you. You would have gotten here 2 years ago.
Right.
And done this. My father, and I know we got to go to break. My father had early stage colon cancer. They found a polyp early on.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunate that he did chemo, but he only had to do like 6 weeks in the tablet form as opposed to the injection or whatever. And he was cured, or he was in remission until he passed from other stuff.
Right.
What is it? Emphysema, whatever they call it. And I forget what they call it now. From 30-something years of smoking. But because he went and got tested early, they were able to find it early, and he survived that. I had to go get tested early because of So go ahead, don't go and let them do their little probe that they need to do and take care of your health, men.
Right, exactly.
Man up.
Man up, exactly. I like it. Man up, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Before, as we go into the break, I just want to take a minute to send really warm and positive vibes to our good friend Elvon. Yesterday, as you know, I mean, Harold, they buried Andre yesterday. His going home service was yesterday. So I just want to say he is such a dear friend of mine, and just in a lot of reasons. So kind of wish I could have been in Atlanta for it, but it was Charles was there actually, in the process. So I just want to take a minute to think about them as we go to break, and then we'll come back, and then we have Miss CK Ford. Dig it in tonight. All right. Not CK Harrell, Miss CK Ford. All right, guys. We'll be right back after this break. Hello. All right, guys, and welcome back to The Truth Behind the Truth. Yes, indeed. Guys, again, we want to welcome everybody. We have a lot of people tuned in tonight, and we want to thank you guys for taking out the time to be a part of our wonderful show and this inspirational show that it'll be tonight during our Writers Page series. It's just been
Linda's watching us too.
Yes, absolutely.
Those who are watching.
So we have 2 more series, 2 more shows of this particular series coming up. We will wrap it up with our own Dr. Harold LaFoe. Okay. Yeah, we'll wrap up the Writers Page with that coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to hear from his writing side. So we're really excited about that, talking his wonderful books and the things like that, and all of his inspirations that put him where he is, in the process of everything. So without further ado, we want to bring to her for the very first time, but an adamant follower of the Truth Behind the Truth. Because every week we can count on her putting her inspirations in the chat. I mean, she be going, boy, I'm telling you, she'll be putting it in there, baby. And we love every minute of it. So now that tonight we have her voice rather than her typing speed. Okay. We want to get in, Troy. Hey. We want to welcome to the show for the very first time, and won't be the last, and I'm sure she'll be a part of us. Hey, Will, we want to make her a part of the family. There's so many other people out there that have inspiration parts about this show, where we're going. All right. But without further ado, let's bring it to for the very first time, Miss C.K. Ford. Yay!
Yes. Hey. Okay.
Okay. That little technical. There she is. All right. Yes. There she is. Hello, my dear. We see you.
She's frozen.
Uh-oh. Can we hear you?
It's frozen.
Okay. We'll give her a minute. Okay, we'll give her a minute. We'll pop back in. Pop back in just a second.
But I want to talk on this topic while she's getting that together.
Okay.
Y'all notice that we've been hearing a lot about mental illness these days since we've been now coming back from, everything is now coming back.
True.
But this topic on Free Britney, have y'all been following that too as well?
Yes.
The conservatorship of her situation. If you saw on the news, that is kind of troubling a little bit of how they're dealing with that. Have you been following that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm hearing of course in the back, we're news junkies around the house anyway.
Yeah, about the fact that, somebody can control your life, your money, your just your life, your body included.
Right.
The fact that, she's on some internal birth control. I didn't even know even existed. What they call it,
IUD.
IUD. Yeah.
That's old school.
That is interesting. And I thought about that the other day. I'm like, that is wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's control.
And for whatever that intervention that her parents did indeed, or whatever the case may be. I mean, it's just too much. At the end of the day, I mean, it really is. And then, as much as it's being exploited now in the media, about what it is and what she's come through, what she's been, I really hope for her sake that whether she makes a decision to blow all her money at the end of the day, that's going to be her decision. She worked for it. You know what I'm saying today? And then it seems to me that the family is in the position trying to pad themselves out of her fame.
But it's so sad knowing her story and growing up with her, knowing that where she started at the age of 12 on a TV show, and now as her life at the age of 39, seeing the course of her just growing and knowing that control been with her from that point, Mickey Mouse Club, to now having kids, and just that is just wow. Well, that is crazy to me.
I know
trafficking.
Yeah, go ahead. Real quick. But we'll see. The thing about it is that and you can contest this. And all the amount of people we've ever worked with, Parnell, in the industry, you never know what goes on behind the scenes with people. Because there's a mask that people put on all the time when the lights go up. At the end of the day, or the curtain goes up, or the camera goes on, or whatever the case may be, and they put on that facade, and unfortunately, the general public sees that image and they think that that's that person's life, but it's not, at the end of the day, it really isn't. But go ahead, Parnell.
Right. No, I watched that documentary on Framing Britney, and it was just really disturbing to watch how she went from this really open, energy to this very guarded, just like, oh my God, could you guys please just leave me alone? And there's that thing with celebrity that at some point it stops being flattering and starts being invasive. I can't go to dinner. I can't go on vacation. I can't go to the grocery store without 50 guys surrounding me pointing cameras, and it's like everywhere she went, she couldn't move her car because there were so many paparazzi. And especially I feel this for women in particular, not understanding. Do you understand how threatening that is for a woman to be surrounded by all these guys right up in their face, taking pictures? Like there's no reason for these guys to be that close up on her with the lenses that are available. Give these people their damn room to live lives, and it's like I've watched the many celebrity, cuss camera, the paparazzi out and punch them. And a lot of times they intentionally incite them so that they get this picture of, oh, so-and-so goes crazy. And I'm like, yes, anybody's going to go crazy when you are invading.
Absolutely.
On a continuous basis.
Absolutely.
I ran over in West Hollywood at this restaurant. I forget, I don't even know who was there, but this paparazzi was zooming in so quickly to try and get there first, missed me by that much.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
And I'm just like, are you serious right now?
Wow.
The picture.
Wow.
I'm like,
wow.
I'll own your car.
Right.
Because you got to take some damn picture. Stop
Right.
so effing stupid and offensive, and let these people live their lives. It's one thing to be at an event.
Right.
But this stuff where they're sneaking into people's homes.
Yes.
Taking long-range pictures while they're out there on vacation. It's like, I don't need to see people on their vacation. I don't
Absolutely. You know, it's the sad part about that is that there's such a market for that. And these guys, I mean, they make, thousands of dollars to capture these pictures, and I don't, as you said, I don't condone it at all. I mean, at the end of the day, the four of us could be real famous. Assume you better not come out with no camera while I'm eating dinner. I'm going to throw stuff at your camera. At the end of the day. Go ahead, Harold. I know you had a point, but I'm going to change the subject after you get through. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think it's a good thing just to have discussions around mental health. We don't talk about it a lot.
That's true.
In our families, we have folks that we know are struggling, but we don't know how to address it. We just kind of act like that's just how they are.
Right.
No, there's a reason why people are the way they are, and we don't never get to the root cause and want to address it. And that's why you have these generational things happening where, folks have kids in the same patterns we keep seeing happening over and over again because we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to be uncomfortable. So we all wear a mask and we act like we cool. I'm okay. How you doing? I'm good.
Right.
Okay. And we quick to say that, but on the inside, most of us are dealing with some kind of turmoil, some kind of anxiety, but we want to, we don't want to talk about it because oftentimes spaces are not made safe for us to do so. Because if you tell somebody you're having these feelings, these worries, these anxieties, like, what's wrong with you? And you put these labels on you. Nobody wants a label of being crazy or put on them.
That's true.
It's just good that, we're starting to have open conversations around mental health.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Just so you guys, CK is having a little technical difficulty. She'll be joining us as soon as they can work it out.
But let's take it off. Let's take.
Yeah, Let me ring this partner real quick before she comes on.
Go ahead.
I do want to address real quick about the sentencing. And I know most of you follow me on Facebook. I posted. I'm sure you guys saw what I posted yesterday about that. I just think that was the most display of disrespect that the murderer mother did. During that.
Derek Chauvin.
Derek Chauvin. I call him the murderer at this point. The murderer at this point, okay? At the end of it, that's what he was. When she got on that stand, okay, and then tried to defend him as a person, okay. Now, I realize in her mind, and if I'm going there, guys, I apologize. I don't apologize. I'm going there, okay, at the end of the day. All right. In her mind, I understand she may have seen this little image of her little boy, at the end of the day. But here's the thing. Your little boy made a decision to kill somebody at the end of the day. Now, you can go through the ramifications of completely saying that, well, they called him into work and all this other type of stuff. I get called into work. What you do, you get called into work. Here, you go to your computer, call yourself into work. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, but you're accountable for your decisions when you get called into work. That's no excuse. You see what I'm saying? But the point is, and I will make it, I think Cheryl is available to be with us this point. The point I wanted to make, and if you guys want, and Cheryl, you can touch on this too as well. When she got to that stand and did not acknowledge anything with George Floyd's family was despicable.
Oh, yeah.
Was completely despicable. You made this case about what this man was and, and all the time and how he was. And then above all, then you said, well, he wasn't racist. Well, at the end of the day, you made him appear to be very racist based upon what you said because you never owned up to the responsibility. What you could have said is, look, I really apologize for the mistake. Even if you wanted to call it a mistake that my son did. He's not this type of, but when you didn't say nothing, not even I'm sorry or I feel for what you're going through. Both of them. And that's pseudo apology that he did. Oh, please. He could have kept the mask on.
Very, very tone deaf and not reading the room type of situation.
Right.
When I saw it, I was not even surprised because from the fact that she was so she was so like wanting to prove that her son could not be this monster that we saw in the video.
Right.
No remorse, didn't even care that the man was not breathing. And people were telling him to get off the neck. The man was literally foaming at the mouth.
Right.
And the fact is that you could not see that as a human being to get off the man's neck. That tells me that you can just forget about saying that he was just inhumane.
That's true.
But you have a lot of people like that, and you have people who just don't care to say, well, you know what, I was wrong. Because even in those moments, they want to feel like, they want to put out that I was right. It was the right moment to do something like that because I felt in fear of my life. But come on now. But the fact is, I wasn't surprised, but I was really disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, disturbed that his mother could come out and say what she said, and then you realize where that type of teaching came from.
Absolutely,
it came from the home,
right?
Go ahead.
So, and here's a lesson in this. We wonder, and we've talked about it on the show, and so beautifully when Linda and Susan and Tara and all along, how beautifully that it came to light about the behaviors that are being taught from the home. Regardless of whatever age category, because if she would have influenced him in the idea of the quote unquote experience, even just a life and death, let's take it off race just for the half a second. You know what I'm saying? But explain to him the proper aspect of life and the appreciation for humanity. You know what I mean? And say at the end of the day, I just would not have ever believed that he would have went about it in that. I could be wrong, and if I am. But I just don't think so because we are all here. We have different experiences of how we've been brought up at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I'm sure, Harold, your family did not tell you to go out and be able to step on somebody's neck and say it was okay. At the end of the day, Parnell, your family, I sure know the hell my mom would beat my ass. Okay,
and my mother was in law enforcement.
Oh, see, there you go.
So I'm just kind of like, and I love that there were superiors in law enforcement. Like, no. That is not proper procedure. That is not what we approve. And that the fact that none of those officers checked him,
right?
Exactly.
So he could see it. I said, no. That is not proper technique. He was handcuffed and non-combative. There was no need for him to still be kneeling on that man's neck.
Right.
And for people who keep saying, like, every time I make a point, I got to take my glasses to see my eyes. And for all these people who are just saying, well, we don't know what happened before this. I don't give a damn what happened before the camera started rolling.
Right.
At that point, when they had this man in custody, that's it. They clearly take in white people who are combative and are armed, unharmed every damn day.
Right.
So I'm sick of hearing these excuses and people trying to validate Black people getting killed by police, well, if they'd have just done this and they hadn't have said that, and if they hadn't have done this, when I have watched white people cuss cops out, have attacked them, and still get taken in unharmed. Stop it. Stop the bullshit.
Right. You're right.
Point, I can't pussyfoot and coddle that.
Right.
I'm tired of us having to suffer through this. And it's about damn time that police officers are being held accountable for abusing their authority. You are being trusted to protect and serve this community, not terrorize us. We call you when we need help. I'm sick of Black people who call the cops saying, hey, I need help. And they're being the ones being murdered.
Absolutely.
I called you.
Right. Absolutely.
Or my son called you to help him and he ends up dead. My daughter called for your assistant. She ends up dead. That is a problem. Calm down, Parnell.
But you know what? Go on, Harold.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But I was just about to say, and I'm going to make this point. That's why it's so important for this race theory to be taught as a curriculum in schools, universities, elementaries. That is what is the problem. I don't even understand the problem in that. You got a lot of people who don't want that to be taught in their schools. But what are you hiding?
Right.
See, that's the problem. What are we hiding? What are the mistakes that we as a country or certain parts of the country want to hide from the rest of us that we already know, or some of us should know, but we just don't know.
Right.
I just, that's one of the things that I feel like that is so important right now, and that needs to be the number one discussion in our educational system is telling the whole truth about what this country has done to certain people.
Absolutely.
And certain segments, because at the end of the day, just like you said, Parnell,
Right.
Why has it come boiled down, and where did that come from?
Right.
But go on, Harold, if you had something to say.
I know you got a point. I just want to say, guys, I know a few of you tuned in to see Cheryl tonight, and I know that they're behind the scenes trying to get her signal correct. If it doesn't work for tonight's show, we definitely will have her back, when the signal's back, and make sure that it happens for her. But we're going to continue with host chat, in the meantime, because there's a lot of stuff that we didn't talk about anyway. So we keep it going from that point. But anyway, go ahead, Harold. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's absolutely important that we teach race theory in the school, because you can't depend on folks to do it at home, because they don't know. They don't know. They will just regurgitate the same old racist kind of beliefs that they have been taught. And so unless you have these nonpartisan institutions that are sharing information, with our young people, nothing is going to change. So it definitely has to be done in the school.
Well, yeah, and I agree. I think that we can always trend back to that, and I think I'm broadening the conversation just for a moment. In that is to realize that we have to look at from a parenting also aspect of how this thing needs to happen at the end of the day. Unfortunately, yes, the African American women and the women that have biracial sons and whatever the case may be, or sons and daughters, have to have a more intense conversation. However, to our Caucasian family that's a part of this particular show, it's even great that you're having it with your children, but then you have to go into your community. At the end of the day, you have to be the community leader. I think we said on the show as well that to our Caucasian sisters that we gave you guys the charge. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying this to the Caucasian fellows. We give you the charge because here's the thing. You have the visual point of being able to make something happen. You can start a conversation of that movement to say, this stuff has got to stop at the end of the day. The legislative position in this has got to change. Number one thing that we got to do is we got to get these old, I'm going to be frank, these old asses out of the positions that they are in Washington. Yeah. The Mitch Marupolos and all these people, they need to go. They need to go. At the end of the day, a Republican agenda that is not for the people needs to go. At the end of the day, if you're and a Democratic thing that is not for empowering the people needs to go. Not making people comfortable by sitting on their ass. Okay, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? But creating opportunities for people to be successful in developing their own lives. This country was built on entrepreneurship. Okay, why is it that you're not going after your entrepreneurship? Stop using the excuse of the bank don't give me a loan. All right, that's not the excuse. Go out and find a way to make yourself your own loan. At the end of the day, now I get that it's a whole nother semantic. I get that, and there's a point for that, at the end of the day. However, I mean, there's ways you can get stuff done. I mean, look, my mama started a business, on her own, making her own money at the end of the day, and did not have a bank loan to be able to do it. In the 60s. Mm-hmm. In the mid 60s. Just to real quick about her story, she graduated a cosmetology school back in 1965. This is an example. 1965, went right into her apprenticeship, for the year. Same time that she was doing her apprenticeship, she was right down the street. Her and my dad was preparing to build out and establish to have her own shop. When the day, I'll tell you, real funny about it, and I was this small, but the day she graduated from her entrepreneurship, she walked right down the street, opened up her own shop, and took 12 operators with her in the 60s. 12 operators in their own cosmetology shop. So you can imagine what the impact that it had made. So our DNA in this situation, it's equipped to do. Let's stop with all the excuses. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop. Let's move forward. This man right here, I'm looking at handsome man in the orange. My buddy. Harold has been through different phases of his life. You know what I'm saying? But he tapped in to find his activity. Now he works for himself. At the end of the day, he gets up in when he wants to get. He goes to bed at 9 o'clock at night, but he gets up. But he gets up when he wants to and sets the narrative. He's written books. He's done all this stuff, but he's not blaming it on the Black experience. You see what I'm saying? He blames it. Whatever he didn't achieve, Harold has been the first to tell you, I was at fault. Something I didn't do at the end of the day. You didn't go pointing fingers and so on. So same way with you, Parnell. You know what I'm saying? You've been a creative force in the acting community by and large for a long period of time. You know what I'm saying? You have had your ins, you have had your outs, you have things you can make responsible. But guess what? You're still your own man. You still make your own money. You know, at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, you guys can speak. I know I'm running my mouth, but you guys can speak that. I mean, here while we talk, wait for Cheryl if she's going to make it. Tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurship. Talk about that for a second.
Well, one of the things that has always encouraged me that I learned outside of school, because when they would talk about Black folks when I was in school, it was only about Black folks being subservient, enslaved, and so we never talked about what Black folks really went through.
I'm sorry, here. Just can you move your mic up just a little bit because you kind of fit? Yeah. There you go.
So we never talked about what Black folks really survived and endured, and how we came from the strongest of the strong. So many of the Africans who came to America died in the Middle Passages, but those that survived all of the atrocities, all of the stuff that they went through, the torment, and some of them, killed themselves because they refused to be enslaved. But those that survived were the strongest of the strong. And we are the descendants of those folks. And that has always given me strength and always has given me courage, because I'm like, they endured all of that they endured for us, and that took a lot of strength and fortitude for them to do so. And we have to remember that, because I know the images, when I was in school, the images that they showed of Black folks was just subservient, passive, and it would make you feel like embarrassed by your heritage. But when you look at the whole spectrum, you realize, no, we come from the strongest of the strong, and that's what needs to be taught. And I think critical race theory is not just for white folks; it's also for Black folks, so that we realize our strength and we realize from what we come from. Absolutely. So I think it's really important for us as well, because I think so often we buy into that narrative of being subservient and less than. We buy into it, and so white folks ain't got to do nothing, because we kind of play it out, because that's how we've been programmed. When you realize who you are, and the heritage that you come from, you realize that you come from a great people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Parno, you want to be? I think we got Cheryl on the
Cheryl,
Hey, Cheryl, we welcome you. Go ahead, Parno. We can wrap this part up. Did you have something to say?
No, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Parno. You're right.
No, I just agree with that. Like I was talking to my sister earlier, and we were saying this because it's not only just Black people, but Latinos and Asians and Native Americans who made this country what it is. And all of our history needs to be part of American history.
Absolutely.
As electives, but as required learning of what made America America.
Absolutely.
And it's just this whole thing of, and I think that's part of critical race theory as well. All those contributions need to be taught. And when we're talking about this history happened, and so-and-so did this, and this person died that, I mean, that's what's that Stevie Wonder song, "This World Was Made for All Men."
Right. Yes.
First one to do is Christmas Adams. We started learning the history of all these people who made America this great country that it is. And with that, I'm a hush up because we want to hear from Cheryl. Come on, girl, tell us what you got.
Yes. Hey guys, welcome. Finally, we got it here.
Hi there, guys. It is so wonderful to be here with you. And AT&T has just been doing the most lately. So it's not just tonight. I told them I'm going to fire them and go and get someone else pretty soon. But nevertheless, I am here. It is a pleasure. It is wonderful to be in the midst of great company. And I am just so honored to be with you guys tonight.
Well, we're honored to have your presence. We I threw out all of the accolades I could get, earlier, but just throwing them back out. Hey, I'm glad to have you. I'm honored. Okay, we're honored, and just to allow you to speak to the masses in the capacity that you feel led that you want to say, because we're here to be your sponge tonight. And we'll pose some questions at you as you speak. So let's take into your first book then, if you want to start with. Well, no. Let me back up. Tell everybody about you, okay, and then about where your essence and what your inspirations and stuff, and where all that good stuff for me.
Why, thank you so much. Yes, I am C.K. Ford. My proper name is Cheryl. I am a native of Louisiana, Baton Rouge representing. Okay. I have two daughters. They are such a blessing. JB knows my daughters. They are currently in grad school, and it was not necessarily easy, but yet the journey was fruitful. So it reminds me of that passage where the Bible says that one day your children will rise up and call you blessed. and I am certainly seeing the fruits of my labor. And the rewards having definitely paid off. So not everything is easy, but everything that's worthwhile is not easy anyway. So as we are diligent and faithful in what it is that God has given us to be stewards over, then we shall certainly receive we shall certainly see the fruits of our labor come to fruition. As the elders say, may the works I've done speak for me. So yes, may the works I've done speak for me. We don't necessarily always have to tell our story, but as in the book of Habakkuk, where Habakkuk was complaining about what was going on in the land, and God told him, shut up. And he's like, but God says, what do you see? So what do you see? Not what it is that you're complaining about. What do you see within you? What is your vision? Write that vision and make it plain on tablets, so that when you write the vision and make it plain on tablets, even when you get to the place where you're unable to utter a word, the vision will go forth and not tarry. The vision will then speak for you. And when the vision speaks for you, the vision will tell your story. Even the vision will tell your story, and it will be true to who you are. And when you are true to who you are, living the authentic life, being the genuine article that God created you to be, not who other people say that you should be. But when you live and you walk and you abide in truth, the works that you have done will speak for you.
Yes.
Amen.
And so I just want to offer words of encouragement to anyone that may be going through some difficult times right now, that maybe things have been dark for a long time. But like my dad always says, it may rain for long seasons, but at some point the rain is going to stop and the sun will shine again, and the sun will shine on you. And everything that you have suffered in the darkness of life, then when the light brings it forth, then you will spring forth like the mighty tree that's planted by the river. You may bend and you may sway, but you will not break, because there is something fruitful in everyone. Just because people do not see your value does not mean that you're not valuable.
Say that again, please. Say that again.
Just because others may not perceive or see your value, it does not mean that you're not valuable. And when they speak about you and they don't even really know you, oftentimes I have found, even in my own life, people are so busy diminishing and dehumanizing you in your humanity, they are unable to grasp or embrace your divinity.
Wow.
That's true.
When they stomp on you and tell you who you are not, you don't have to respond to every critic. Everyone out in the peanut gallery that's busy telling you who you're not or who you cannot be, that is their story. That's not yours. Other people are constantly projecting their issues off on you. Sometimes you don't even have to respond to the critics. Just keep your mouth shut and keep showing up in who it is that Spirit created you to be, without apology, without remorse, without regret. And sometimes it's downright uncomfortable. But yet I find in my own life, God or Spirit was not concerned about my comfort, but the condition of my heart. So Spirit, God comforts the afflicted, but God will also afflict the comfortable. When you get too comfortable in your livelihood and thinking that, oh, everything is going along as status quo, when you live a life where you're simply on autopilot and you don't have to think about it, you're just going through the run of the mill, day in and day out in the routine, and you have everything like it is that you want it, then you have gotten to the point where you're too comfortable. And when you're too comfortable, then you don't necessarily grow. We're oftentimes not moved or propelled forward until things become uncomfortable and shake us up. And when you are shaken to your core, whatever is left of you is who you really are. because in being shaken when everything, even when the world turns topsy-turvy and all hell is breaking loose in your life and all upheaval is coming about, you may say, God, where are you? The God and the goddess in us is our hope of glory. So as the well springs of life comes from our innermost parts, what is in you comes out of you whenever you are when you seem you're at your lowest or you're at your worst. Yes. Only what is done through the spirit of Christ consciousness will last.
That's right. Wow. Woo.
And CK, isn't that the reason why it's so important to have a vision? Because when life gets crazy and chaotic and you can't see your way, it's so important to have a vision of where you're going. You know,
absolutely. The vision will carry you. And sometimes the vision takes a life of its own, where when you write the vision and you know that's the vision in you, the vision that you have been given. Sometimes it may look dark before the light ever comes about, but when it is darkness, that is when things really grow in the darkness, because in the light, you don't see the growth. You may see the splendor of the growth, but your real growth is where your roots are. What are you rooted in? What are you grounded in? Whatever your foundation is, let everything be built up on a strong foundation. You know, like Jesus said that he was the cornerstone. Yet the way that I see it is when you only have a cornerstone and nothing is being built up on the cornerstone, you will only have a foundation. Jesus said, on this rock I shall build my church, and the gates of darkness shall not prevail. But in order to have a church, which is not a building, in order to us, what are we built upon? What is your foundation? What are your roots? Whatever your roots are, if your roots are not strong, if your roots do not hold you up in fortitude, if we spring up too quickly and we do not have any roots, any passing wind can come and knock us down. You see, most growth, the growth of fortitude takes place in the darkest hours before it sees the light. Just like a seed, unless a seed falls to the ground and dies to itself, it cannot spring forth and bring resurrection life. Right. We have to die to ourselves, not what other people say it should be. Sometimes we have to die to some of the things that we thought were our dream, but your dreams can take on a new form. If we're only looking for things that are already processed and ready-made, then you want it handed to you. But we have to go through the storms and the weatherment of life in order for our foundation to be firmly rooted and planted, because everything that can be shaken will be shaken. So if you have not been shaken in your life, just wait. Storms comes to everyone, but it's not what comes to you. It's what is in you. What are you giving birth to? What are you giving birth to? And the power of life and death is in the tongue. So everything that we say is reproducing in some form, in some dimension. Absolutely. So allow the words that you speak to bear much fruit and to be fruitful. Everything can be fruitful and multiplies, but what type of fruit are you bearing?
Right.
What type of fruit are you bearing? So go ahead, JB.
No. Yes, I was going to say, and speaking, and my gosh, I mean, the past, I think 10 minutes that you have spoken has just been so rich, I mean, and they're really, really rich and identifiable things that we all can move into and really grow to. I love that. Speaking to that, I guess coming from the perspective of your book, and then maybe you can, kind of transition into that as your words of encouragement keeps going. Where can we as a society, let's just kind of broaden it real quick. Where can we do as a society to begin to employ this same kind of hope that you've just deposited it into everybody, these few minutes that you've just spoken? What do we need to do as a society? Even if it's just taking off a little bit of it, you know what I'm saying? And what would you encourage people to do in that regard?
What I would encourage people to do is to know you, to thine own self be true. because when you are not true to yourself, you're not going to be true to anybody else. A person that stands for nothing will fall for anything.
That's true.
So
Absolutely.
what are you standing for and what are you standing on? And as a society, it's one thing to be woke. It's another thing to be awake.
That's it. I just said that today.
It's one thing because those that often claim, hey, I am woke, usually they're jumping on board of the next cause or whatever society is saying that is wrong in the world. But when you are awake, you are in tune and you're able to hear what it is that spirit is saying to you, through you, for you, and in you. So I encourage those in society to not just simply bloom where you're planted, know what you're made of and show up in the gifts that you were given. Your gift may not look like my gift. When you know what's in you, as we are treasures in the earth. I was speaking with a friend of mine the other day. We are treasures in earthen vessels. So whatever treasure has been deposited into you, learn how to mine that, because even gold is one of the most precious metals. But if gold is never mined, then you're just walking on top of dirt, not even knowing what's in you. And if we have been created as earth, we have to get in tune with spirit to know what it is the hope of your calling. What have you been sent to do? It may not be from a platform. You may not be reaching the masses, but yet when you are only looking to show up on a stage to speak to lots of people, but yet you are passing by the people in your neighborhood that may feel hopeless or may be hurting or on the brink of suicide. If you're not willing to minister and show up for one, then you are ill-equipped to show up on a global stage, because I may not be able to reach everyone, but I can reach someone. And whatever level you're on, whatever place that you have influence in, albeit your family, your church, your community, even the stores you go in. If you see somebody hurting and they are in need, don't say, I will pray for you. Be the answer to the prayer if you are able to. Stop praying for people and see how it is that you can be the answer to the prayer. Because yes, God is the source, but we are the resources that were put in this earth to be able to reach others. So we may not be able to reach everybody, but everybody can reach somebody.
Everybody can be reached.
Everybody can be reached. So whatever impact you may have, JB, you Parnell, you Harold, you Dylan, whatever impact or influence you may have on the people that you meet on a day-to-day basis, if you're able to reach them, if they have a need, then the works that you have done will speak for you, because you've reached that one person. That one person can reach 10 people. Those 10 people know gazillions of people that you don't know. It's a ripple effect. So it's like standing out on a lake or a pond. If you're only able to pick up one stone and throw and make a splash into that body of water, you made one splash with the stone, but that splash is reverberating. It has a ripple effect, and it goes outward, and it can reach heights, depths, levels that you may not even know. All you did was make your splash. So your splash, we are the stones. Whatever it is that you make your splash into, then do it with all of your might. Do it with intention. Do it with purpose. So I encourage society, whatever it is that you are able to do it with full vigor, do it with enthusiasm. Every day may not be bright, but yet you can make the day brighter by speaking light into your own life. If you wake up every day and say, oh, this day sucks, it will, because you have just called into existence what it is you have said. You know, we speak forth life. with the creation, and creation is the power of words. Yes. So know what it is that you hear within yourself, and do your best to do good by everyone that you encounter. There may be some people you're unable to do well by because number one, they won't let you, or number two, you are just not in a good place with them. We are not required to be in relationship with everybody, in covenant relationship with everybody. But when you have peace within yourself, and you go to bed with you every day and you wake up with you every day. So as long as you can look yourself in the mirror and you have peace within yourself, knowing that you treated everyone that you encountered with decency to the best of your ability, and you feel okay with that, then that is where the peace of God abides, because we are good with God as we are good with and within ourselves.
That's true.
Because everyone has a modicum of humanity. We are all in the human race. But when you discount other people's humanity because you may be up on your soapbox or a pillar, or you think little them and big me, or you are nobody because you're in this position, the people that spirit will usually test you with are the ones that you come across and you perceive them as lowly. And when you begin to look at other people as less than you, they may be in a bad way. They may be going through difficult times in their life. Yet they may not be going through those difficult times simply because they did not do everything that they were supposed to do. Sometimes spirit will put people across your path as a character test for you to see how you're going to treat them.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
And when you have the opportunity to treat people well, but yet you treat them poorly, that reflects more upon you than it does upon them.
Absolutely.
So
I totally agree.
I choose to show up in what it is that Spirit has given me, which is a gift of encouragement and exhortation. And what I do is, your everything that you do should come out of your being. We should not attempt to try to do things just for accolades or to be seen, because the most authentic doings will come out of the reservoirs of your being.
That's right.
When we learn how to be, then your doings are not heavy labor.
That's right.
Because your doings will be authentic and genuine and be birthed out of your being. There oftentimes people are so busy doing stuff until they don't know how to be. You ask them who they are, they will tell you what they do. I don't want to know your doings. I want to know your being. I want to know who you are. Who are you as a person? Who are you when nobody is looking?
Absolutely.
Who are you when you are in the darkest hours of your life? There are many folk that are up on stages and saying that they are, reaching the masses, but yet they treat their family like garbage, or they have no formidable relationships in their life. The mark of a person's life, I find, is how many quality relationships do you have in your life? It's not what you say about yourself. When you are nowhere around, what will people say of you? Yes. And there are often people that will mischaracterize you, true enough. But those who mischaracterize you, so oftentimes they will do that because it makes them feel more important about who they are, or makes them feel less guilty about what they're not doing. What I do and what you do, whatever it is that you do it with all your might, your hope, and your strength. My parents had this little sticker up on this chalkboard when I was a kid, and it had a little stick man, and he was holding a shovel. And the word captions were, no matter what your lot in life is, build something on it.
Wow. Wow.
No matter what your lot in life is, build something on it. So wherever it is you stand, whoever you are, whatever was within you, and you know that you are able to do and you do well, allow that to be a blessing to others. And that's where my writing comes into play. I did not just start writing. Yes, my books just came out, but I have been writing all of my life. I have always been a writer. I have always had the gifting to speak powerfully in written form. I mean, I've even been a ghostwriter for some people I won't name because that's, confidentiality. I've done ghostwriting. I have written so many other things, and people minister to you in deep levels when you may not even be aware of it. For example, I had a teacher when I was in high school, and she told me once after I turned in one of my term papers, she's like, "Can I talk to you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She says, "You wrote this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And she says, "You're a powerful writer." She says, "I've even read some of your poetry because I used to work on the school newspaper." And she says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I'm like, "Well, possibly an engineer." She says, "Why is that?" And I'm like, "Well, you get to build things and you get to make a difference. And it's also a field that's very lucrative and underrepresented by women." She says, "Yeah, you would probably make a good engineer, but I don't think that's what your calling is." I'm like, "You think I can't do it?" She says, "No, I believe you can do whatever you want." She says, "But in you, I see a very powerful and prolific writer. You write far deeper than your years." She says, "You write as if you have been here before, or if you are someone that is far older than what you are right now and much wiser." She says, "So you can just do whatever it is that you want with that. But I see you as a great writer, maybe even a poet." And I said, "Well, I don't know any wealthy poets, and I want to get wealthy." And she says, "Always remember this. Your wealth is not what you have in your pockets, but your wealth is what is within you that you can bring life to and bring value." So with that, there are far often where you find people that feel the need to be needed and they say, "Hey, I just want to go where I'm needed." I feel that it's one thing to be needed, it's another thing to bring value. No matter what place I go into, I want to be able to bring value into that place.
Absolutely.
And even if other people do not tell you or articulate that you are valuable, perhaps they may be unable to see your value until you are long gone. Sometimes people do not see the impact that you have made until you're no longer in that space anymore. And they say, "Oh, now I see, now I understand." So I'm just, I am in the place where if I will still minister to anyone, I will encourage anyone if I see that they are downhearted. Now I am just doing it on a greater scale, but that which people see now, that's who I have always been. Because the goddess in me, the God in you, that is our hope of glory. When you are intimate with spirit, you don't need anyone standing up on a platform or in a pulpit telling you, "Thus says the Lord." You will be able to hear spirit for yourself and know the way to walk in and go in that.
Absolutely.
So go in the vein of what it is that spirit is telling you to do. The word that spirit gives may not necessarily, the word spirit gives me may not be the word spirit gives to you. You have to hear what it is spirit is saying to you and be able to flesh that out and even ask for directions or ask clarity and move in that. Because when you can move in what is resident within you, as spirit has spoken to you, through you, and in you, then that is the hope that will not fail you.
Beautiful. I know the fellows have got a couple questions they want to throw at you, and I know our time is good now. I wanted to speak to just one thing to go. And first of all, we want to invite you back because this is, maybe we can look at maybe the next week's show, whatever. We'll talk about that off camera show to have you back because we'll get a full essence of where you are and where we need to go, as people, because it's very powerful. A lot of rich stuff is coming at us. One thing I want to mention, then I'm going to let the fellows, give you a couple points and we'll wrap it up for tonight. But the one thing I wanted to go back is a time that you and I spent I don't want to say quite a few years back. And we mentioned about everybody having a story. I don't know if you remember that conversation that you and I were having at Arpe Dion,
Yes.
and the fact that people don't understand that their life is a story. You know what I'm saying? Scripture says that we are epistles written of men, meaning that every person that deposits something in your life becomes your story. And you are able to regurgitate that story. You have such value as having a story. And one of the things that people find in their authenticity is that they don't know that they have a story. Unless let's look at for biblically, just for a specific second, is that we look at Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John as the only people that have stories that have evolved in the essence of God. But the bottom line here is that there's a book of Cheryl, there's a book of Harold, there's a book of Parnell, there's a book of Dylan, there's a book of JB. And when you know your value, just the same as those individuals that have become famous because they've been collectively put in one book, the same value is right here among us. The same richness, the same power, the same authority is right here among us. And society and family has robbed us from our own story, has robbed us of being that solid book that we are. We are a book. We are a novel. Some of us are a huge novel.
Hallelujah.
Some of us got so many pages in between them covers, but at the end of the day, some of us are a Harlequin novel. Yes. But between being Harlequin, there's always spiritual and there's recovery. Okay. But it's all in your book. You know what I'm saying? It's all a part of your book. But just briefly speak to that conversation if you can remember something that you and I had, and real briefly, then I'll let the fellows kind of jump on, a couple questions for you, and then we'll wrap it up tonight. Okay? But go ahead, Cheryl.
Absolutely. We were talking about everyone has a story. And in everyone's story, there are hardships, there are downfalls, there are triumphs, but nobody knows your story better than you. And what I find in our story is if you have stories about me, or you think you have information about me, I'm going to get out in front and I'm going to tell my own story so that there cannot be any misinterpretations of that, because you cannot judge a book by the chapter you just happen to walk in on. You cannot judge my life by the chapter you happen to walk in on. You don't know my entire story. And oftentimes what you and I were speaking of, Brother JB, is that not everyone deserves to know your story. Because if you already have preconceived notions about who you think I am, then I'm not going to waste my time in trying to change your mind. I will just leave you with whatever it is that you believe. My grandmother often says that every person has the right to be right in their own mind. It does not mean that you are right. You have the right to believe that you're right. So if you already have preconceived notions or ideas about who you think that I am, then I will just leave that with you to deal with or to flesh out. Because my father often told me is that do not allow anyone else to dictate to you who you should be. You show up in who you are, and you show up in who you are, and let them watch. Let them watch. You don't have to address the peanut gallery. Show up and do what the hell you're supposed to do, and leave other people to either watch and wonder or sit back and learn. So everyone can learn something from someone. So with your story, Brother JB, with my story, no one knows our stories. No one knows all of the conversations you and I have had in some very dark moments, in some of the places that we have been in, where we have sat with another brother of ours in in the IHOP on Ponce de Leon
Right.
and talked about our goals, our dreams, our
Yes.
aspirations.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
you know, you even spoke to me about your story, portion of your story, and you said, I don't know why it is I'm going through this. And, you know, but different situation we're talking about,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I don't know why it is I'm going through this. And I told you, I say, this is not the end of your story.
Yeah.
I say, this
Yep.
is not the end of your story.
Yep.
In order to get to where you're going, you have to go through this
Yes.
process.
Yes.
Because in going through, then you are growing. You are growing. If you're never willing to go through anything, then you're not willing to grow. Because the moment that we stop growing, we start to die.
That's true. That's true.
We start to die. So
That's
I
true.
just want to commend you for where it is that you come from and where it is you're now, where it is you are now, and the wonderful places that you are going, because
Yes.
you are making a huge impact.
Thank you. Thank you.
And blessings to you. And there's so many much greater things coming for you
Thank
and
you.
coming to you and being birthed through you. And
Thank
I
you.
want to, you know, I celebrate your growth process and you and your husband and all of the magnificent things that you were doing. And I know that it was not easy, but yet that is a part of your story.
Yes.
Just because you went through something, that's not who you are.
Right. So true. I agree. I know we got more. Parnell, go ahead. I know you you observe it on a link. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, enjoying this. It's just those when I talked about certain spiritual universal truths.
Yes.
That are there, and Shirley's just nailing them, because what you are saying is just that it is not the. I know you use Christ-like in your speaking, but it's just like all the religions that we practice have that same thing about presenting your authentic self, being in touch with spirit and the universe, and finding your purpose and your path, regardless of what other people may think you should be doing or what they want you to be doing. But it's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. You know, for those of us who are artists, how many of us, when are you going to get a real job? Like, this is my real job. This is what I am put on this earth to do, is to tell maybe your story through my art, whether that's a song that I may write or perform, or a play that I may do, or whatever. So that is my purpose to be here. When I think of folks who are scientists, who are naturally curious about this world, it's like, but you know, you're pretty enough to be a model. It's like, yes, but I'm also smart enough to be a scientist. You know, that is what my thing is here to do. So thank you for those words of encouragement and really looking and thinking about who we actually are.
Wow.
Who you really are.
So sure, I was reading through your book, Third Day Revelations, and one of the things that I really loved was it seemed like they were like journal entries. And I was wondering if that was like, if you were going through something, a difficult time, a dark time when you were doing that writing. And was it kind of therapy for you writing that book?
Absolutely. And that actually was a journal. But when I was writing it in journal format, I had no idea that that was going to be a book. I was going through some very difficult times, but I had been writing long prior to that. And during the dark times I was going through in that book, it's like it was not just, hey, I'm going to write. Each day that I got up and I communed with spirit, whenever I prayed, whenever I finished praying in the spiritual language, I would hear God/spirit start talking back to me. And I was required to write down everything that I was hearing. So that's where that book came about. So, and so I had to sit. So as Parnell was saying, that is your job. That was my job, to take dictation and write down everything that it was that I was hearing. And I was thinking that that was just out of my own pain and out of some of the anguish and some of the difficulties I was going through. But Spirit told me later that And I actually had someone to prophesy to me that I did not know, had never met me. I walked into an Easter service one day, yeah, Good Friday service one night, and she spoke to me. She says, "You stand up. You just walked in." She says, "You've been writing in the dark hours of your life. Hold up your hands." She says, "I want to let you know that all of those things that you have been writing in the darkest of hours, and you think that nobody knows or nobody sees." She says, "Those are not just random journal entries. Those are ministry letters that the world is going to come beating a path to your door. That whichever it is you have to say is going to ignite the world, because God says that those are fire-filled. Those are fire-filled ministry letters that will go out to all the nations. You may never set foot there, but the word of God will. Thus says the Lord." And I'm like,
wow.
And so she says, "You are not just a writer, you are a scribe." And so regardless of what anybody tells you, what anyone says to you to say about you, they will try to come for your throat, but they're not coming for you in the natural. They're trying to squelch out what it is that the Spirit of the Lord is doing in your life. But though the weapons may form, they shall not prosper.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
Very powerful. Very powerful. Go ahead, real quick. I know we've got to wrap it up.
No, we're good.
Sure?
I'm sure we got another show to come.
I know, right? I know. Wow. This is good, Cheryl. I mean, whoo. I mean, you just left us so full. I mean, tonight, and thank you so much, for fighting through, number one, the internet zone. Okay, fighting through that to make your presence known tonight. So we will schedule it. We'll probably just go schedule it for the next show. If that works with you, we'll have you back, and audience will have you back so we can get more into her books and really just get this profound information because I am richly full, even though you have come tonight and confirmed a lot of conversations you and I have had today and people I've had at work. It was just, so it lets me know that I'm in the vein. I love to be in the vein. These guys know that. I go places when I'm in the vein. All right. But it lets me know that I am. And we as a team are in the vein and our focus. That's why, as we always say, we push for humanity to find their authenticity so that they know that they are enough. And what, Pernell? It's not my job. It's not my job.
Not my job to make you comfortable with my life.
With my life,
Amen. Amen. Amen.
So, if someone wants to get your books,
yes, I was going to go ahead. I'm glad you brought that up here. I was going to do that next. Go ahead.
The title of the other book, and how can they get a copy?
Yes, the books are available on Amazon.com. The first book is entitled Third Day Revelations. That is the first book in a series. It's called the Waters of Life Chronicles. It's going to be the series. That is Third Day Revelations. It's available on Amazon. And also you can visit my website, which is www.ckford.online. That's ckford.online is my website. So you can visit my website. There are different there are different portals on the website where you can view my blog, a few of my writings. There's some video clips there of when I have been a guest in a few other shows. So if you go to my website, ckford.online, it has the books. The first book is Third Day Revelations. The second book that I released last month was actually a poetry book. That one is entitled, Silver Shadows of the Moonlit Soul is the poetry book. That is the title of this book. And that was such a blessing right there, because I was thinking that I was going to release the second book in the Chronicle series, which is upcoming soon. That the one that's upcoming soon is called Miracle Zone. So that one will be released sometime in this week coming up. So that will pick up where Third Day Revelations left off at. But yes, Silver Shadows of the Moonlit Soul is the poetry book that I just released last month. And within the first week of that one having been released, it made Amazon's bestsellers list in a couple of different categories. So it ranked number 9 out of the top 100 in women's poetry and poetry anthologies, as well as new hot releases by Amazon. So yes. Yes,
Beautiful.
so they're
Beautiful.
both available on Amazon.com and on my website, ck4.online.
Yes, yes. We're going to look forward to, like I said, digging into those next week, and you'll expound on those in a deeper fashion. Maybe we'll take one from each, each category, so that we can share with this beautiful audience about all of the rich things. Oh man, I'm just rich. It's just like when you dug in, man. It's like being in some good syrup.
Right.
It's sweet all around you. You know what I'm saying? And you try to fight your way through it. But anyway, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to The Truth Behind the Truth tonight. It has been such a, again, rich and powerful night, a night full of syrup.
Right.
Or they say in the South, syrup.
And I apologize to you guys for the technical difficulties.
Oh no, that happens.
It does happen. I do have stable internet service with AT&T, but at this moment, I suppose something was just trying to prevent me from coming through. But you know what?
Absolutely.
In all things, God does all things well.
Absolutely, you persevered. Because what was supposed to be said was supposed to be said at the time you said supposed to say it. So it didn't matter, at the end of the day. Cheryl, we love you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And then we will see you next week with us again. Yeah. And we'll get into more of this profound revelation that you have for us and for humanity. All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, darling. Guys, have a beautiful night. Thank you for tuning in to The Truth Behind the Truth. We'll see you back next week. Same place, same time, same station, right here. Tell a friend, share, like, get out there, do whatever you need to do. Your booty shake, get you a sign, flip, do something to tell people to come look at the truth behind the truth. I'm telling you, we're on the move and we're powerful. Right. All right.
Thank you so much for the beautiful audience tuning in. I really appreciate
Thank you.
the support and the encouragement.
Y'all have a powerful night, gentlemen. We'll see y'all a little bit later, and have a great night. Thanks again, everybody, for what? Tuning into what? The truth behind the truth. Good night.
Good night.